Hi, Jessica. Mr. Parrish here again. I want to take a minute to go through the submission for the response paragraph assignment and point out some things for you to work on as you do the summary reaction paper. As you know, that'll be a similar kind of assignment. In that case, though, you'll be responding to two articles, not one. So let's take a look at the summary paragraph first. Well, I have this note here is topic sentence needs work. What I'm really getting at is this idea that you don't want a paragraph to be about the article. You want the article to help explain the topic. So your first sentence should introduce the topic. Here, it's clearly meal prepping, and you might think of one of those standard they say introductory ideas that you see in chapter 1 of They Say, I Say. It could be many people find meal prepping time-consuming, or in today's fast-paced society, we think that this is an old-fashioned idea, that this is something our grandmothers could do, but folks can't do today. Whatever you begin with, you want to introduce that topic. Now, the summary reaction paper has actually a small paragraph that does this, but it's essentially even in that assignment that you introduce the specific point of view before you jump into the article. So in the article, here's how a registered dietitian, etc., by the name, you'll see that sentence. The sentence never really gets to be a sentence because this here's is part of the title. It's not part of your sentence. So there's another regard where you want to introduce the topic, then bring up the one author's response to it. Now, you do a couple of things by continuing to use the pronoun she here and then down here, that it is indicating that these are most of this is from Qureshi's article. But I want you to do more of that. Introduce the name, use the pronoun, then use the name in each sentence. Where you have the it starts, the it refers to the article. MLA style, we really write about the article by saying what the author is doing. So Qureshi starts with stressing. Qureshi recommends. She suggests. Here, that's the better way to do the summary, because that keeps it obviously keeps showing that the ideas are coming from your source. And it separates what your source says from what you say. This sentence here, choosing meals that everyone likes and use the same ingredients in most of the recipes, that's a fragment because it doesn't really have the subject and verb. What would straighten that out is if you begin most of the sentences in your summary with the author and then what the author's doing. That gives you a new subject and verb, and here Qureshi recommends choosing meals, then that would be fine. If it's she recommends choosing meals that everyone likes, and choosing, and then in this particular case, you'd probably want to use using, choosing and using. That wouldn't the same form of the verb. She stated, that's the present tense. In MLA style, you use that present tense to capture what the author's doing. So better to say she's something like she states, or maybe she suggests, because a lot of what her article is recommendations, suggestions, things like that. Clearly here you have the plural of patient, like a person in the hospital, when the word you want is the patients. Sounds the same, but it's a different word. Yes. As we switch to the response paragraph, a couple of things to take away as you go forward. One is just the importance of giving your paper a second read-through, and catching things like the Y left off of very, the F added on to meal, vegetables missing a letter, everything is missing a letter. So double check for those kinds of typing errors perhaps. The other thing to look for in your paper is revising the second person. So when you say something like it's a great way to help you eat healthier, what you really mean in this particular case is you're writing about your own experiences here. So it should be a great way to help me and my family eat healthier. Or down here, I need before I go to the grocery store. I may need. That's who you're actually writing about. So use the first person, not the second person. In academic writing, the second person is almost always wrong. So go back and look for ways to fix that. I would say beyond that, there's some of the sentence boundary issues we've talked about before. This first sentence really ends there, where you have here where you're writing, I believe it is very time consuming. I don't think that's the proper use of believe. I think here you want to say something like, I concede it's very time consuming. That is, I'll give you that. But in the end, it's a great way to eat healthier. That's really framing the points you're trying to make. This subordinate sentence error simply explains that whenever you start a sentence with a word like since or if or when, there's a comma coming at the end of that idea that would be there. And this is about the compound sentence, and certainly in that run-on, comma splice section of Inquisitive, they talk about the sentence a lot. This is a classic kind of example of it. But I think this is also a case where your sentence sort of structure breaks down, and it really has more to do with sentence structure than with talking style more than anything else. I look up my recipes, and rice is a big hit with my children, so throwing in chicken or any other type of meat and vegetable in, also peppers, the way that's kind of added as an afterthought. I think that's a sentence that really either needs to be two sentences or it needs to be rewritten as that kind of compound sentence. Or something like, many of the recipes I use include rice because my children like it. So I throw in chicken or meat with the vegetables. Like peppers, maybe that's the way you get that idea in there. And then your final sentence, I really enjoy meal prepping and hoping. I think when you write it this way, it's almost like you're saying, I enjoy meal prepping and hoping. Those are the two things you enjoy. You enjoy meal prepping. Encourage is, I think, your verb here, or either hope. But if you think about it that way, I enjoy meal prepping and hope others try it as well. All right. So again, you're getting there. We're on the right track. So as you work on the summary reaction paper for this week, take some of this advice under consideration.